Let's talk a little bit about a camera crew. It's written here that at the last tapings, there was a camera crew there filming a TV reality show pilot on Jeff and Jerry Jarrett. While actually that could make for fascinating TV if they were with those two 24 hours a day, the odds of it going anywhere aren't good. What do you remember about this? Did you do a pilot with your dad? This is crazy.
It's funny. I got a text from the guy 3 or 4 days after Unreal debuted and said, "Hey, they're doing the show that we were thinking about." And I was just like, oh my, I hadn't heard from this guy in a while. Look, Conrad, can you imagine my dad being pitched that show? But it was a father-son working in a wrestling business that it was very apparent that our opinions and thought processes were just what a father and son would be. We come from different generations and different experiences and different mindsets. But I think we shot a day and a half, maybe, and that was it. It was just like, hey, we're running a business here. This ain't gonna work. That I think that was in essence game, set, match. But that was the genesis of it. Jeff and Jerry behind the scenes, basically behind the scenes of TNA.
We're excited to talk about the pay-per-view, but I do want to ask one more thing before we get there. It says a funny Jeff Jarrett story. Behind the scenes, there's a clear deal going on with Jeff trying to rally a lot of wrestlers against Scott D'Amore and the current booking committee since they decided against giving him back the title. Generally, the Jarrett position is a good one to be in, but Jarrett isn't getting much sympathy from anyone, even longtime friends who see through him. The funny story is Jarrett tried to claim Raven. He was the reason Raven was named champion, saying when he found out he wasn't winning, he told everyone involved that Raven had to win because they were the only two people in the company who could be champions. Somehow I'm skeptical, and with good reason, it really went down that way. Jeff, I mean this as respectfully as I can. Does Dave think you're a fucking mark?
And I'm going to say this. You have to, and look, I've had, I don't say a lot, but I've had plenty of conversations with Dave through the years, but I don't think he's the only one because there's a lot of folks that, Jesus, I mean, up until the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, that's Jerry's kid. That's the promoter's kid. Just if that is your set point because remember, he's writing newsletters on Lawler and Jarrett and the territory days and that, and he's been writing about it forever. And so I think his set point on myself, along with the days of being able to decipher, because look, we've talked about it ad nauseum. TNA in the startup days, the Wild Wild West, the political, it wasn't easy to keep a roster of guys that you couldn't even give long-term contracts. And when I say long-term, I'm saying a year. I'm not saying 5 years. I'm saying they were being paid on a per-date basis, and all the political nature. And look, at this point, up to this point, we had no TV deal. We did the time buy, so we were plugging along. So I got the heat, and I signed up for it from every angle, from the talent angle, from the creative angle, from the business angle, which means payoffs, all the structure, all of it came on me. So Dave was getting not one slant of bad reports, but multiple slants. And I think in a lot of ways, it created truly in his brain, Jeff's a freaking idiot. And I mean that out of all due respect. I think that's all the reporting he got, as opposed to step back and say what I've said, and you've cleared it up, or we've cleared it up on this podcast. Let's really look at this logically. Jeff put up his own money, and he is an owner. Now, if that ain't his set point to make decisions, I would be an idiot. But they glossed over that and had in their mind Bob Carter. And that's okay. Well, Bob Carter's burning money, and Bob Carter's doing this, and Bob Carter's doing that. Well, until 2009, late 2009, until the power play that went awry, me and Bob were completely aligned. And it was during this time frame, okay, the Spike deal and Bob, they're coming at us. and we're going to turn this thing around on this one deal. So yes, Dave looked at me, I think, as a kid that didn't know what he was doing. And would you disagree with that?
Well, I think Dave, for as much as he tries to talk about business, he can't help it. He'd rather talk about wrestling. And I get that. And I understand that. And I appreciate that. But to me, it comes off like a fan perspective. Like when he, he's continually writing in this era, like, hey, it's clear they're trying to frame Jeff Jarrett as their biggest star. Well, I mean this as respectfully as I can. No disrespect to anybody else involved. If you're not the biggest star, who is? Are we going to suggest that it was Raven? Don't get me wrong. Raven had a heck of a run in ECW, but respectfully, that he never enjoyed the same success in the WWF or WCW that you did. I don't think that can be debated. So, like, if we're just going to remove our emotions from it and our taste from it, because maybe for whatever reason, he dismissed, and I do think there is a Memphis bias that we get lost in a lot of this.
Yep.
And I think he probably said, oh, well, he's out of Memphis and it's his daddy's kid and blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait a minute. Who was the biggest star at that point, if not you? This is pre-Kurt Angle being there.
Yes.
So, I mean, you could say Christian Cage, fresh off of WWE TV, he's about to come in. But like outside of that, what else would you even say? Like it's clearly you. And more importantly, and we've beat this drum for years on this program. It's the same reason that Vern Gagne made Larry Zbyszko the world champion. It was his son-in-law. He knew he couldn't be lured away to go to work for Vince when everybody else could. So you were a realist in saying, hey, I'm offering guys an opportunity and a few $100. I'm not offering them guaranteed contracts and a lifetime of fame and fortune. I don't have it in my business model. The revenues aren't there. I'm a startup. I'm trying to get there, but I'm not leaving. I can't leave. I'm all in. I got to recapture my investment. So yeah, I'm going to get on TV, but if you're beating me like a drum in favor of someone else, where does that leave us if they leave? I think that's what is just lost on everybody, but they get so caught up in matches and wanting their 5-star matches that they just fucking forget, like, it's a business, guys.
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong?
No, not at all. You're spot on. I knew you had a little comedy and flavor to it, but that at the very core of it, that's what, but it still happens to this day. And that's okay. That the online discourse, I get it. And it's looked at as performance and matches and storylines and angles and all that. And that's what it's supposed to be. But at the end of the day, like the Karrion Kross thing, at the end of the day, guys, we are generating engagement, which revenue will follow. And so the whole thing, and I think you were going to circle back on this, me and Scott D'Amore and all this, you got to remember that in 2002, I had to get approval from the Carters. I'm literally in a lot of ways a one-man show. I need an agent. And I had all kind of, I'll call it quote unquote, former wrestlers that I thought through and got pitched to me and all this. I picked Scott. I literally said, we aligned on a lot of things. I loved his mentality. To this day, I think that carried his personality traits were, all right, I'm going to roll up my sleeves. And he's like, Jeff, maybe he's like, hey, boss, if that's what you want. But I kind of disagree with you. And I'm like, good. All right, let me hear the disagree. And sometimes he'd sway me and sometimes he wouldn't. Jeremy Borash would do that. And he would have a different kind of slant on it. Dutch Mantell would have kind of a different slant on it. Russo would damn sure have a different slant on it. But all of them kind of came at it through the years with different angles, which I loved. Didn't always feel good, but just kind of, but Scott was the guy. And so like what you were just saying that, oh, there's two sides and Jeff's doing all this. It's just like, what are we doing here, guys? But then I go back to Dave has to write a certain amount of words every week for him to create engagement. So that kind of narrative made his business tick. So hats off to him.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama, what could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
Available, that's number 212, non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.